Hey guys, it's Chris Crown back with you. My son Mason didn't want to participate in this video because he's a little too nervous. Because this video we're testing the battery to see what happens when you get to 0 miles left on a charge. So he was a little nervous of getting stranded, and he's staying by his cell phone just in case I get stranded, so I can give him a call and he can arrange for Mom to come pick us up. So basically we've been driving around here for a couple days when the battery's been getting kind of low, just to get to this point. We want to see what happens when you get to 0 miles left. And a lot of people have asked me over the last year, what happens when you run out of battery? Well, I don't know because we haven't done it yet, but I'm guessing the car has some feature in it that will allow you to get to a charge or get somewhere. But it has been warning me the last 10 or so miles. It's been lighting up red on the dash, which I'll show you in a minute. And if you're ever on a road trip, it would tell you all the time what superchargers to go to and how long to wait for a charge. So it'd be difficult to run out of battery if you're on a road trip because the car knows where you're headed and it knows how long to charge. But here in our small town there are no superchargers, so it kind of gave up on that. It did have a map showing different chargers to go to, and now that we're at 7 miles left on our battery, it knows we're not going to make it to any of those. So it's basically telling us we just have to go home and charge. So it's never an issue. Typically, if you have a Tesla with a garage, or even if you don't have a garage, you're going to have a charger of some sort at your house. So we get about 350 miles on a charge, so we plug it in every week, maybe every 2 weeks if we're not driving much. So if you were driving a lot, say you drive 300 miles every single day, you would just plug it in when you get home. It only takes a second to plug it in. You push the button on the handle, plug it in the charge port, and walk away. So by morning, you'd always have a full battery or a full tank of gas, essentially. So there's no issue that way. We always have enough battery when we start out the day or start out on a road trip. The question is what happens when you get really low. So I'll show you on the dash a few things going on here, and then we're gonna run it down to 0 and see what happens. So hopefully there's a tow truck handy to help us out in case we need, but I think we'll be okay. The infotainment screen here on the dashboard, it does have a list of all nearby superchargers. And as you can see here, we're way over here in Alpena, and the nearest one would be Gaylord, which is about an hour and a half. Down here there's one near Clare, so there really aren't any options, so it's not even gonna give me an option. Typically it would have available superchargers over here that would be lit up in red, and it would know various ones that I can get to with my state of charge. But right now we have basically, if you look right here, we have 7 miles left on our battery. And a lot of people want to know, well, how do you know when you're going to run out? But it's so simple because this is very similar to a gas gauge. And when your gas gauge says empty, usually you start thinking, where's the next gas station? Where do I pull over to get gas? So it's the same concept. Your mind basically starts searching for the next fix to get you a full tank of gas. So this was yellow. Once it hit about 70 miles left, it was lit up in yellow, which kind of gave me the indication of a warning signal. And then you get warnings like this that say insufficient charge, Sentry mode unavailable. So the security system will not work at this point. And then it lights up red. So it's been red for quite a while, and I just keep driving it because we want to see what happens. So obviously there's no superchargers as an option, so we're gonna have to drive it to our house. If you did totally run out and you were stranded, any standard outlet would work. You can plug it into an outlet at somebody's house. If you can pull over and run an extension cord, I have a 100-foot cord in my frunk just in case. So I could run it to somebody's garage or any business. If you pulled over in McDonald's, there's an outlet outside for their power tools, or usually a light fixture in a parking lot's gonna have an outlet on it. So there's a lot more outlets out there than you think, and it would be a slow charge, just a real slow charge through an extension cord, but it would get you back on the road enough to get to a real charger. So like I said, we always charge at home, so there's never an issue. If we're on a road trip, it routes you along all these various superchargers so you can pull over and plug in as needed. So no real issue unless you're really trying to run out, or if you're really just not paying attention and you just keep driving and driving and driving, even though it tells you it's time to charge up. So no different than gas. It's just a different thing that you're putting in the car. You're putting electricity instead of the liquid gasoline, but same concept. So we're gonna see what happens when our tank says 0. And already I've noticed a big change in the acceleration. Normally the 0 to 60 is about 4.5 seconds. Right now I have the pedal to the floor, and look how slow that's accelerating. It feels so weird because I'm used to this car having so much power, and it's not letting me do it. And then I get a little notification lit up there showing me that I should be preserving my battery. So yeah, pedal still to the floor, and we're barely hitting 60. It might actually be limiting how fast I can go. Stopped at a light here, and we still have 5 miles left. You can see one of my tires is showing a pound of pressure low, so we'll have to fill that up. I think the weather's been a lot cooler. You can see it's only 47 degrees today, so it's been a lot cooler than it's been, and I think that affects the tire pressure, so we'll just kind of leave that overnight and see if it corrects itself. Still really close to 39 where we had it. So we're just gonna keep driving. You can see how slow the car is. I'm trying to give it some power here, and it's just creeping up, but we have everything turned down. We have the seat warmer, we have the heat on 80, I have the radio playing, so everything's working as it should, and we only have 5 miles of range left, so we'll see what happens when it gets even lower than this. Hey guys, so you notice it got dark here. When I was driving home, it actually made it all the way home with 4 miles left on the battery, and my wife called and said dinner was ready. So I knew it wouldn't take another just 4 or 5 minutes to run out. I have a feeling it's going to take a little bit longer. So we went in, took an hour break, had dinner, and I was able to convince Mason to come for the final ride here. He's a little nervous about running out of battery and having to call a tow truck to make it home, but I'm confident we're going to get back just fine. So we're now at 4 miles of range left, and we're going to just take it for a spin. Let's go, bro. Check out the acceleration, Mason. Doesn't have any. No power. The funny thing is it probably has more power than most gas cars, but it doesn't feel like it with the low battery here. So we're just gonna cruise around, check out some Halloween lights, check out the scenery. Let's go by the Halloween house. You guys want to see a Halloween light show? You tune your radio station to 102.3 and it broadcasts music that matches up with the lights. Pretty cool. And you can see we've been sitting here for a couple minutes, so we're down to 1 mile of range on our battery, so we're getting close. We have the heater going, seat warmers. We're going to drive around in a few minutes here once we watch the light show. Okay, so we're gonna drive around a little more. You can see we're at 1 mile of range, so we're gonna stay close to our house. Just keep circling the block and see what happens at 0. Everything's still lit up here. We still have the heat going real nice. Seat warmers, everything's working as it should. Acceleration is still a little weak, but it's not restricting us or anything.
0. Went to 0.
Oh, it went to 0. Yep. So 0 miles of range. This is what happens when you run out of battery. Oh man. Oh man. Woo! It still has some pep. So even at 0 miles, we're still cruising. We're gonna pass our house here. We left the lights on just in case we need to find our way back home in the dark here. Let's just keep circling around. Here we go, lap 1. You nervous, Mason?
A little bit.
A little bit. He doesn't want to have to walk home. He didn't bring a jacket, and it's only, what, 46 degrees. Yeah, so it has still some power. We could go 30 if we wanted to, which we are. Then we'll turn around and still has some pep here. We're going 30 miles an hour, no problem. We're still at 0. We've been driving for a minute or so. We'll just keep driving. Oh, it does have autopilot as an option. Let's test it out. See if it works here. Yeah. So autopilot's going just fine, even though we have 0 miles of range. It still has enough battery to run all the computer and cameras and everything to do autopilot. No hands, no feet, and it's driving itself. No problem. So here we are, still cruising. Everything's lit up just as bright. I thought they would dim the screen or something, but no, we're still cruising. 0 miles of range and we're still driving around. Yeah, we're just cruising through town, downtown Alpena here. Isn't that pretty? All the lights. And we are at 0 miles of range. Mason's freaking out over there next to me, just wants to get home. We started out circling our block. Now we're like 4 blocks from home. I'm testing the limits here. So if it does die, we're gonna have to do some hiking. Mason's freaking out over there. Did you dim that?
No.
Yeah, notice how the screen got dim. Take it back to auto, see what that does.
It is on auto.
Really? So it took it down to 12%. And you notice it did turn black from when I started the beginning of the video. It realizes when it's nighttime or dark out and it switches the screen from a white backlight to a dark here, so it's a lot easier to see. Still at 0. I wish it would take you into a negative number, but we've been driving for quite a while on 0. Now we're just gonna keep circling the block. There's our house. We're just gonna keep going here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Psych. Still go. Still go. Yeah, I'm surprised that it's still got quite a bit of power. I've heard other people say, ooh, look at that scary monster. I've heard other people say that it really limits what you can do, but maybe not just yet. Maybe there's quite a bit of reserve in here. The GPS still works. It still shows you how to get to our house.
At -1%.
Yeah, if you look over here, it says when we get home, we'll be at -1% battery. So normally when you set the navigation to take you somewhere, it shows how much battery life you'll have once you get there. And it does show a negative there, even though our battery life here shows 0 miles. So let's take it around the block one more time. Mason, what do you think?
Don't.
Just one more? He says don't. I'm gonna do it. Hey, we're close by if we need anything. We'll just
turn
walk
right.
home.
I'm not.
Charging needed to reach your destination, which is funny because our destination is our house, which is a half a block over. It says we need charging to reach it, but obviously we don't. We're still cruising. Just gonna keep circling the block. 0 miles of range, and we're going around and around and around. Just cruising around our block. Taking a look at the neighborhood. Okay, one more time around the block. We're at 0 miles of range. And we're still cruising. This is where it makes me a little nervous. We're stopped at a red light, so if it did die, we're kind of right in traffic here. So it's different if we're on a stop sign by our house, but when you're right in the middle of traffic, it'd be a little embarrassing to run out. It still shows -1% battery when we get home. And we're just gonna keep driving. We'll take it back home here. It's interesting because autopilot is still an option, so we can turn on autopilot and it's driving itself, folks. 24 miles an hour. It's steering, working just as it should. It's crazy that all the cameras and everything can function at 0 miles of range. And we're doing autopilot just as normal. The screen's still lit up just as it should be. nothing has changed with the vehicle yet. And we've been driving for a bit of time now. I haven't looked down at the clock to see, but we're still driving, no problems. I wouldn't recommend doing this on a daily basis, but once, just to test it out and see, it makes me more comfortable. A lot of people have range anxiety, worried that they're gonna run out, they're gonna be stranded, but this kind of eases your worries. The regen braking is working just fine. I haven't touched the brake pedal yet, and it takes us right to 0 miles per hour. And we can drive it just as normal. So Mason suggested maybe sitting in the driveway and watching some Netflix with the heater on and seeing if that'll diminish the battery any. So let's try that. Okay, get a good show, Mason.
Put everything on full blast.
We got the heater going full blast. Steering wheel heater. Still at 0 miles, folks. So we're gonna take a little break here. We've been driving and driving. It's nice to pull over and watch Netflix. You can see the hazard button is right there next to the screen, so if we did break down, we can push that. Mason has the heater blowing full pressure here, just to drain the battery even faster. 80 degrees. Look at that, we can still watch our show. It did shut off the main instrument panel there at the steering wheel, but that's because we were watching the shows on Netflix, and that's what it does. So we watched a little bit of Netflix, and then we decided we'll just take it for another spin around the block. We'll see if it will engage into reverse. Yeah, no problem. Back up camera. One more trip, Mason. Can we make it? He's freaking out over here. But I think we're gonna make it. I love that hum when you back up. It sounds like a spaceship. Okay, let's take it around the block one more time. Still at 0 miles of range. We're still cruising. So we got tired of just circling around our block, so we got kind of gutsy here and decided to take a little drive, even though we're still at 0 miles. And Mason's gonna navigate us back home and see if we can make it back home. It did pop a message on the screen a second ago that said plan your next charge, so it is reminding us. Now we're at -2 at our destination. See that? Yeah, but everything's still going smooth. Eh? The regen braking worked, brought me to a stop. The headlights are on. Yeah, I'm impressed. It just keeps going and going. We're gonna give it a little power. Still not much acceleration, but 30 miles an hour ain't bad. Get to a red light. Huh? Real slow?
Just take it slow.
I think our camera battery is gonna die before the Tesla battery. Look at that, it still has autopilot as an option. That's pretty neat. Okay, we're gonna head back home, folks. Check our navigation. Look how far we got away from home. We're really taking our chances, aren't we, Mason? I ain't scared. Test the acceleration here. Yeah, it still has some pep. anybody who's nervous about driving a Tesla because they think they're going to run out of battery, just make sure you charge it before it says 0. If something happens where you can't get to a charger before 0, don't worry, you're not going to be stranded. I could pull over anywhere and ask somebody, just like you would ask them for a gallon of gas. You could ask them if you can run an extension cord to an outlet for a little bit to get a little bit of charge, but I don't think we'll have to. It just keeps going. So we're gonna head back home. If it does make it all the way home, I think we'll just be thankful that we made it and we won't push it any further because it's getting kind of late and we did a lot of driving on 0 battery, so I'm impressed. That's what I wanted to know. I don't really want to run out and become stranded and have to call a tow truck, but I did want to know what happened at 0, so now we know. Not much. Look at the screen brightness, didn't even dim or anything. Test the heater, see if the heater still blows hot air. Yeah, we still got heat. Wow, lots of heat. Oh, what's it say? It says battery power very low. Heating and AC are restricted. So it is going to restrict the heat. When we turn it up on high, it's telling us that it's going to restrict it. Battery low. Charge now. So you'd have to be kind of silly to not heed the warnings here. It's definitely telling you. Most gas cars don't give you that much notice and let you know that you're running out. So we're going to pull in, charge it up, and just let everybody know that you can keep driving on 0 miles. We're going to back in the garage and plug it in. Coolest thing about having a charger at home in an electric car, you pull in after driving for the day and you just plug it in and walk away and it charges up. By the time you wake up in the morning, you have a fully charged battery. So we just backed into our garage. We are going to charge it up here because we are getting quite a few more warnings here. This one says battery charge level too low. Charge now. Vehicle may not wake from sleep. So we are actually going to close it up, put it to sleep, and see if it will wake up just to test it one more time. Our charger's right here behind us in the garage, so no worries there. Let's test it out. So we put the car to sleep by engaging the security system. And it said it may not wake, but we walked up to the car with the key fob like you do, and look at everything lit up, turned on. So it looks like it did wake up. Let's just, hey, even the doors open for you. It has the automatic opening doors. Still shows that we're at 0 miles of range. So we're gonna plug it in, charge it up. I think that proved the point that it's not gonna run out of battery on you. 0 miles. We're gonna go ahead and plug it in here. Sorry we couldn't get it to run all the way out. That's as far as we could get it. But we gave it a good test run, and we're happy to say that you can drive it for quite a ways without running out. So grab the charge cable. Plug it in. Check the dash here. Oh, now it's happy. Starting to charge. So there we are. We'll wake up in the morning. We'll have a full 371 miles is what it rates it at. I call it 350. About 350 miles of range by the time we wake up, folks. So we did make it. The old Model X did not leave us stranded even at 0 miles of range. So guys, we made it back home. We drove around on 0 miles of range for quite a while and it just wouldn't die. So we decided to bring it back home, plug it in and get it charged up, and we'll be ready for a full day of driving again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to click like and subscribe so we can make more videos for you. We do appreciate it. So see you later.